I swear this heart rate challenge of season 7 Love Island USA has literally carried the whole entire season because the way it's still talked about. And y'all, you guys know that I've literally had conflicting opinions about this, because at first I was like low-key watching the episode. I was like, you know what? Huda did do a little bit too much. But then as soon as I found out that there was like no limitations and there was nothing off limits and everybody was free to do whatever, then I was just kind of like, oh, you know what? Like maybe Huda really wasn't in the wrong. Maybe she didn't do too much. You know what I'm saying? And I just really felt like maybe Shelly was, blowing a little bit out of proportion. However, after watching the reunion, which by the way, if you guys didn't check out yesterday's video, that reunion let me down, okay? I am so sorry, but I was just like, I was expecting so much more. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more messy. I just felt like everybody is like so PR trained and everybody just seems so, premeditated and kind of calculated, and they just, I don't know, y'all. I didn't feel like it was like a Real Housewives reunion or a 90 Day Fiance reunion, as to where those get real messy, and that's kind of what I was expecting here. And then I was like, oh, it didn't really get there. Anyways, they played the full clip of the heart rate challenge, and I do gotta say, okay, here I go flip-flopping on my damn opinion over here, because obviously there's just more information that comes out. If you guys didn't even know what I was referring to at first when I had said, oh, like about the whole limitations and things like that, nothing was off limits, is because other cast members had went on to podcasts and said, no, they had conversations before and there was like no limits, do whatever you want to do. That's the reason why I had my other opinion. Now I'm kind of like, hold on, my opinion is swaying a little bit more, because after seeing Huda lick Ace's you-know-what, I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's why Shelly was a little bit more pressed. And look, at first, obviously, knowing that there was no limits on things, I was kind of like, well, wait, she could do whatever. But then after hearing Shelly say, like, oh, I wouldn't think that I'd have to get out there and say, like, oh, don't lick my man's you-know-what, then I'm just kind of like, wait, like, that it is true. You know what I'm saying? I really do feel like at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to have a sit-down conversation with somebody and be like, hey, make sure you don't suck on his toe and make sure you don't lick his kneecap. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, yeah, that should be a granted. So I do want to say, I really do feel like Huda did do a little bit too much on that challenge. Here's my whole entire thing though, and this is where I get so pressed. Why is nobody throwing any type of heat at Ace? Like, I really don't get it. After watching that clip back and seeing him literally palm her booty cheek, shake him up and down, after, okay, and I'm emphasizing on after she licked his you-know-what, he did that because this fool got up onto a podcast and literally got out there and said that she made him feel uncomfortable. I was like, you're a damn liar, because you were completely comfortable over there, grabbing her booty cheek, shaking him up and down, and participating in the challenge. If he was so uncomfortable, okay, by her, you would think that he would just lay there and be like, okay, I'm not gonna touch her, I'm not gonna do anything. No, he was completely comfortable getting handsy with her after that fact. So, low-key, I was like, what's going on over here? Why is nobody throwing any type of heat at Ace? Like, I just don't understand it. Why didn't Andy Cohen or Ariana Madix or anybody else from the cast like throw any type of, questions back at Ace? Like, hey, it sure did look like you enjoyed it, because even watching the clip back and seeing it in its entirety, I was like, he sure did look like he was enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? By the way, Ace went onto a podcast and he had said that I guess apparently Shelly was pressed at him for a while, but in my honest opinion, it really does seem like she was more pressed at Huda more than anything, when it's like, in reality, like, he could have made it be known right then and there, like, oh, okay, you're taking it a little bit too far. You know what I'm saying? He could have showed that he was uncomfortable. So for him to get onto a podcast now and to say, oh yeah, she made me uncomfortable, I think that's kind of his way of saving face, because he literally said on this podcast too, he was like, yeah, everyone thinks that I didn't get no heat for it, but really Shelly didn't talk to me for a little bit and she was mad, and you could see in the next coming days like I wasn't smiling at all. And I'm like, you're literally lying right now. Like, you're really trying to put the whole blame on Huda. And y'all know I do not care to defend Huda in any type of capacity. I've said it before, I'm not her biggest fan. I'm not like a hater of hers. I really am mutual. I do see some narcissistic tendencies within her. I do see some red flags, and honestly, I do think she is really damn toxic when it comes down to relationships, clearly, given how she was with Jeremiah and even the way she was with Chris too. I was like, oh, she is just really toxic. But when it comes down to this heart rate challenge, y'all, two things can be true at once, okay? Three things can be true at once, okay? I do think Huda did do the most, okay? But then also I feel like, why isn't Ace getting any heat? You know what I'm saying? Also, on top of that too, it's kind of like, okay, Shelly was over here participating in the challenge too, so I just feel like, okay, this whole shit was blown up out of proportion. Okay, I did want to mention though that specifically Ace was saying on this podcast that he felt uncomfortable by Huda because I was like, low key, you're being a little bit fake over here, and really, at the end of the day, you could have said this many times before of that. Oh, like I felt uncomfortable by her, but now it's barely coming out now because now that everybody saw the full extended clip of the heart rate challenge with Huda specifically, everyone's like, wait, Ace was up over here grabbing her booty cheek, shaking him up and down like this, so clearly he was having fun with it too. I'm sorry. This is why I say though, I really do feel like there's so many women out there that are against women, and I really do feel like the blame more should be like up on the man over here too, of like, well, or sorry, not two, but like equally. Do you know what I mean? Because yeah, what she did was wrong, but then also he participated. So there we go. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, jumping into the next, okay, conversation over here as far as Ace and Huda, which by the way, if you guys didn't see yesterday's video, I'm like making multiple different videos about the Love Island reunion and everything that transpired after, okay? So y'all got a whole lot of Love Island videos coming up because clearly you guys know that I'm like obsessed with this over here, and I'm like, y'all, I am so obsessed with what's going on. And low-key, I want to know what's happening after. You know what I mean? Like, is there going to be any runoff shows? Is there going to be another, like, Life After the Villa or whatever the hell it's called? Because I'm so interested. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Ace on this same podcast, okay? Because this seemed to be, like, a really big topic of conversation online as well as on the reunion. A lot of people were, you know, calling out Huda for not getting out there and speaking out and saying, hey, everybody needs to stop the hate against Shelly and Alandria. This is where I have to say this, okay, and I feel like this was really watered down, is that, y'all, just keeping it real, and if you guys really want to, you know, fact check me on this, you guys can go over to Twitter, but I have seen it on TikTok as well, too. Huda was receiving just as much hate as Shelly and Alandria, so I'm not really understanding how they were more so focusing on just Shelly and Alandria getting so much hate when I'm like, y'all, so was Huda. And honestly, y'all, the things that I saw about Huda on Twitter specifically, or X, whatever the hell you want to call it, they were really graphic, like really, really graphic. Also, I do have to say this too, because everybody was talking about the whole point that somebody had created like a meme or something like that of Alandria with her face on George Floyd. Well, I do have to call this out too. It turns out that was actually Shelly's fan who did that. Some online sleuths had saw this meme created by a TikTok, or sorry, not TikTok user, a Twitter user, and they actually went back to this person's account, and y'all, they were raving about Shelly the whole entire time. So this is where I'm just kind of like, at the end of the day, it's like, was Huda's fans really, you know, causing the main divide? Yes, I understand. I'm sure that there were some Huda fans out there that were really going hard for her and probably throwing so much shade and hate at Alandria and Shelly. However, the main one that made her tear up was this George Floyd situation, and coming to find out that it was actually a Shelly fan, that's kind of messed up, because this person also did post hate about Huda. So that's why I'm just kind of like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? This is where I say two things can be true at once. I really do feel like a lot of people were focusing on Shelly and Alandria, but then also Huda was receiving so much hate as well too. This is where Ace is speaking out about the situation. I'm going to play a clip in just a second, to where he was speaking to this podcast host, and I guess he was saying, oh, like, you know, when it came down to the whole Benji situation, to where Huda, you know, allegedly kicked somebody out of the theater room, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, y'all. I still believe that she really did persuade them to get kicked out. I don't care what. I'm sticking by my opinion on that. I really did. I saw the way Huda was moving there, and I was like, oh, you're grimy, girl. And like, I clearly see like you are being mean, okay? Anyways, he was saying like, oh, she's so quick to speak out about that. However, when all of her fans are writing Huda, Huda, Huda underneath Shelly and Alandria's post, she's not over there speaking out. However, I am going to play a clip after, to where she went on to an interview and really did speak out and say, you know what, I don't condone the hate. I don't like this. If I'm not throwing any hate at Alandria or Shelly, like, why are you guys doing it? Like, she did speak out about it, and I really do think that Alandria and Shelly wanted her to make like a dedicated video about it, and it's like, at the end of the day, she was receiving just as much hate as they were too. Do you know what I mean? And where were they defending her and saying, hey, like, girl, like, or girls out there, stop throwing so much hate at Huda? You know what I mean? Like, they weren't doing that too. So this is where I say, I'm like, I feel like they both didn't really do, you know, anything about it. Well, actually, Huda did. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just kind of like, look, y'all know me. Okay, I've been very opinionated about Huda because obviously she was the main character of this season of Love Island, and I do see some flaws in her, and y'all know I've been very critical of her, so I don't care to defend her, okay? I do want to make that straight. However, in this specific situation, I was like, at least she did speak out and say that she doesn't condone the bullying, okay? Anyways, y'all, I do want to go ahead and start this clip right here to where Ace is talking about the whole situation. Check it out.
Huda has made it a point to stand on business. I remember she had went on a stream. It popped up on my For You page. She went on a stream and she was misinterpreted about kicking some people out of the room. She made a post immediately that that wasn't the case to clear her name. You just spent 6+ weeks with these women who are facing backlash amongst racist ass people. And the comments are spamming nothing but your name. If I were you, I would make it a point to be like, look, I don't stand for none of that shit.
I'm sorry, but even watching that back, I do want to say on this specific podcast, this fool really did have a lot to say, okay, about Huda, about Nick and Alandria, if you guys watched yesterday's video. And I'm like, you know what's so crazy? He had the opportunity on the reunion to say all of this. Like, he really could have got out there and said, oh, Huda made me feel uncomfortable, or Huda should have said this, and he really didn't. And it's so funny that he was up on his live. Y'all know I made a video a couple weeks ago to where he was talking about, oh, I'm going to address this in person. I'm not doing this internet game. I'm going to do it face to face. And now I'm seeing, I'm like, this fool ain't got no balls whatsoever, because why is he over here on a podcast talking more about everything than he did on the reunion? And as I said in yesterday's video, I'm like, his voice was all cracking, like he was scared, like, to talk about things. So I'm like, all of a sudden, I feel like he is low-key being a little bit fake. But as you guys saw from right there, he was saying, oh, you know, she's quick to call this out and say like, oh no, I didn't do that, I didn't have anybody kicked out, but then she can't get out over here and speak out in Alandria or Shelly's defense. But y'all, I do want to go ahead and run this clip for you guys to where in an interview, I saw it immediately. I really did. It was floating around TikTok as well as Twitter, because they actually have like a Love Island Uncensored or something like that. It's a big old group over there, which y'all know I joined it because I was like, let me be messy and see what type of tea they got over here. They even shared it over there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, she actually did get out and say, if I'm not throwing any hate at her, shade at her, like, why are people getting out there and throwing hate? And she's saying that she doesn't condone the bullying. So she did in fact speak out on it. You know what I mean? And by the way, she did repost this clip now after the reunion, because now she's over here like, okay, like, I already talked about this. Like, I already spoke out about it. You know what I'm saying? And I do have to say this, I really do feel like Alandria and Shelly really are kind of, you know, expecting a little bit too much here, especially when you're talking about a person who's receiving some really graphic hate. Like, if you guys saw the memes that I'm talking about, like, honestly, they're very graphic. They honestly, if I'm kind of describing it, okay, they're having Huda lay, I'm assuming, somewhere on the Gaza Strip, and there's like bombs dropping. You know what I'm saying? Which, come on, you know, that's really hateful too. So if she's receiving that hate, they're receiving that hate, like, that's honest. You know what's really weird? Okay, maybe this is just me, and maybe because I just trauma bond with people. If I was receiving the same hate as somebody else, like, low-key, that would bring me closer to them, because I would be like, oh, like, we're literally both receiving hate. Let's confide in each other. Let's talk to each other. And to me, that would almost seem like a bonding experience. But it almost seems as if Shelly and Alandria want to put their hate over Huda's hate just because Huda's the more popular one. But I'm like, Huda's receiving a lot of hate too. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I do want to go and play this clip right here to where she is actually saying she does not condone bullying or any type of behavior like that towards Shelly and Alandria. Check it out.
Alandria, like, I still love Alandria. Like, if you know, if I'm not hating her, I don't think anyone should be. I think that, you know, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but I think there are lines that are crossed. And I don't condone hate. I don't condone bullying. I don't condone anything of that. I think people's safeties are at risk. Yeah. And the last thing I want is for anyone to feel unsafe or to feel like they're getting some sort of backlash at my expense. I think that's ridiculous. I think, you know, everyone should be able to live their life normally. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You can say, hey, I don't agree with what you did, but, you know, do it in a respectful way that's not like antagonizing. And, you know, even with Shelly, like, me and Shelly, we're not the closest, but we're cool with each other. And, you know, it's, I do wish her the best, and I do care for her as a person. We can still hug each other and say hi. It's not like a, oh, f you. Like, it's not that at all. And I don't think anyone should be getting any type of hatred at all.
I'm sorry, but I do gotta say this. I really do feel like, you know, at least she did stick up for them and kind of say like, hey, stop the hate. She don't condone it. And if I'm not throwing hate their way, like, why are you guys? You know what I mean? Like, at least she did speak out about it. But I'm really thinking that they wanted her to make a full-on dedicated video on her platform and kind of like, I don't know, make a full TikTok about it or a full YouTube video, Instagram reel, whatever the hell you want to say. And I'm just kind of like, okay, like, at least she did speak out about it. You know what I mean? Anyways, y'all, moving into the next topic, okay? I'm really ignorant about this, okay? I am not fully educated about this. I feel like there is just such a huge divide on this. A lot of people were calling out Andy Cohen because this is where I have to say this, okay? In my personal opinion, I'm like, I feel like this younger generation is just a little bit too soft, okay? Because a lot of people were saying that Andy Cohen was going too hard on Huda. And I was like, did we watch the same reunion? Because I don't think that he was going that hard on her. We do need to realize she was the main character of this season of Love Island, okay? She was the main one, the most talked about. So obviously she is going to have the most questions asked towards her because she is the most popular. And I don't feel like Andy Cohen was being, like rude towards her or any type of way towards her. I do think that he did get a little bit like towards her as soon as she didn't answer about when he was saying like, oh, who are you dating? And she said that she can't answer for legal reasons because of Netflix. And he was like, oh, make sure you let Netflix know that this is the most watched show of the summer. I did feel like he did get a little snarky there, of course, because I do feel like he's so used to getting the insider scoop and getting the tea that he was like, damn, I'm not getting this tea out of her and she's not breaking. That's why he did ask that question, a couple different times, different ways. But I don't think like he was bullying her or being rude or dismissive towards her. Honestly, I really don't. So that's where I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like everybody's getting a little bit too soft now. However, this is where things take a turn. And honestly, I'm just not too opinionated about this because this goes down to the whole Palestine situation and Israel situation. And y'all, I am so sorry. As in many different situations that are political throughout the world, I'm always somebody who's like really just down the middle. You know what I mean? Like when a war is going on, I want it to stop on both ends. Do you know what I mean? And I've come to see now that a lot of people are, if you speak out against like, oh my gosh, like say for example, if I were like, I feel bad for Israel, then you guys would be like, oh, Tim's a Zionist, which that seems to be the hot word right now. And I'm like, wait, what the hell? I'm just saying like, no, I want like, the war to stop over there. But at the same time, I could also say I want the war to stop in Palestine as well too. And this is where I'm saying like, why can't you say both? Why can't you just be like, I want the war to stop in Israel. I want the war to stop in Palestine. I want them to stop battling each other. Do you know what I'm saying? And also I do have to point this out too. Y'all, what makes me feel really bad for people is like, there's actually, I don't know what it's called. Okay, please forgive me. Once again, I'm ignorant on this topic, okay? I live right around the corner from a Jewish, is it still called a church? I don't know. Is it called a synagogue? Is it called a temple? I don't know, okay? I am so sorry. But y'all, because of this whole situation had happened, their whole entire church, I'm gonna call it, kept on getting tagged up and like graffiti written on it really, really bad. So now that they had to cover it up and make it seem like it's a Catholic church, it's not a Catholic church. It's actually a Jewish temple, synagogue, church. I don't know. I'm so sorry, y'all. This is why I don't speak out about this shit, okay? But what I'm saying is, it makes me feel bad that I'm like, don't you guys realize that, yes, Palestinians are getting hate, but also Jewish people are getting hate too. You know what I'm saying? So this is where me, as like a level-headed person, I'm like, oh my God, I feel bad for everyone, not just one party. Do you know what I mean? Because this is where I get a little bit confused because everyone was talking so much shit about Andy Cohen and calling him a Zionist, which by the way, I was over here like, what the hell does this even mean? I don't even know the full definition. But this just seems to be the it word of the past couple months. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, why can't both things be wrong? Why can't Palestine be wrong and Israel be wrong? Do you know what I'm saying? Why can't they both need to stop the war? You know what I mean? But obviously, maybe I'm a Libra. Somewhere down in my chart, I'm a Libra because I'm over here like balancing both things out of like, oh my gosh, I feel bad for, both people because I've seen people over here, who are Jewish get so much hate and I've seen Palestinians get so much hate. You know what I mean? Like I'm over here like I feel bad for both and I don't see why that's a bad thing. And I've come to realize online, like if you're not 100% behind Palestine, and if you even get out there and say, oh my gosh, I feel bad for this strike that happened in Israel, then all of a sudden you're bad. And it's like, why can't I feel bad for Israel and why can't I feel bad for Palestine? I don't get it. Like I really don't get it. But anyways, I do want to point this out because everybody was talking about this, that I guess Huda reposted this post that somebody had posted from this whole situation because a lot of people were saying like, oh my gosh, Andy Cohen never should have been the host on this, but obviously he is in affiliation with Peacock. What is Peacock owned by? Oh my gosh. It's the same damn company that owns Bravo, okay? So obviously everybody was like, oh my gosh, he shouldn't have been the host on this. Like, this is just wrong. She's a Palestinian woman and he's Jewish. But I'm just kind of like, in this situation, like, obviously he's affiliated with Peacock, you know what I mean? And she's obviously the main character of the show. I don't think he disrespected her in any way, but she did repost all of these things of Andy Cohen offers advice to pro-Israel influencers at a New York strategy conference. And then also he reposted this Jewish professor denied entry at Columbia media. Basically, just like all of these things right here. And I guess in 2023 that he had posted, I stand with Israel. And somebody had commented right here, the same repost that she reposted, this is the man that will be hosting the Love Island reunion. So obviously there's a huge divide here, and you know, she's been very, very vocal about pro-Palestine and speaking out in their defense. And I'm assuming, okay, I'm so sorry, because I know I probably shouldn't assume, but I think that he's Jewish, you know what I mean? So I do think that maybe he does have some ties to Israel. I don't know. Like I said, I am ignorant on this, okay? But I'm just pointing it out because this is what people are talking about. And obviously there's a divide there. You know what I mean? So she called him out. She reposted that. And yeah, that seems to be a very messy situation. But I do have to say this. At the end of the day, in my opinion, okay, taking the politics out of this, I don't think he was bullying her or mean to her or dismissive to her. I didn't see that, y'all. I really did not. I think the only time that he did get a little bit snarky was that whole, you know, Netflix situation. And that's just pretty much it. But that's my little 2 cents on it, okay? Make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Girl Scout.